The observation deck of the diplomatic station hung suspended between worlds, a crystalline bubble where humanity met the stars. Lieutenant Marcus Webb stood alone at the viewport, watching the twin suns of the Valoran system paint streaks of amber and violet across the endless dark. His breath fogged the glass slightly, a reminder that despite all the technology surrounding him, he remained fundamentally human. 3 months had passed since the Valoran Empire made first contact with Earth. 3 months since everything humanity thought it knew about its place in the universe shattered like dropped crystal. The Valorans came not as conquerors, but as neighbors, offering trade, knowledge, and most surprisingly, friendship. Marcus had been assigned to the cultural exchange program almost by accident. His degree in xenolinguistics made him valuable, but it was his genuine curiosity about alien life that made him essential. While other soldiers saw potential threats, Marcus saw people. Different people, certainly, but people nonetheless. That perspective changed everything when he met Princess Lyra. She entered the common area at that moment, her presence announced by the subtle shimmer of her bioluminescent skin. The Valorans were tall, elegant beings whose bodies held captured starlight beneath translucent flesh. When they moved, it was like watching Aurora's given form. Lyra was considered beautiful, even among her own kind, with patterns that shifted from deep blue to soft gold, depending on her emotions. "You stand here often," she observed, her voice carrying harmonics that human vocal cords could never produce. The translation device at her throat rendered the words into perfect English, but Marcus had been learning her language. He liked the way it sounded, musical and complex. "It helps me think," Marcus replied, not turning from the window. "Where I come from, we have an ocean. Standing here reminds me of watching the waves at night." Lyra moved to stand beside him, close enough that he could see the soft glow beneath her skin pulse gently with her heartbeat. Or hearts, rather. Valorans had 3. "I have read about Earth's oceans in the cultural database," she said. "They sound both beautiful and terrifying. So much water in one place." "Your world has the crystal forests instead," Marcus said, finally looking at her. "I saw the hollows you shared yesterday, those formations that sing when the wind passes through them. That seems pretty terrifying too, in its own way." She made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter, but Marcus knew it was more complex than that. Valoran amusement carried shades of delight, surprise, and shared joy all at once. "Perhaps we are both living on worlds that would frighten the other," Lyra said. "Yet here we stand, between them both, finding common ground." It was true. Over the past weeks, their conversations had become the highlight of Marcus's days. What started as formal cultural exchanges evolved into genuine friendship. They discussed philosophy and art, compared histories and myths, debated the nature of consciousness and the ethics of faster-than-light travel. Lyra challenged his assumptions, and he questioned hers. And somehow in that intellectual sparring, something deeper took root. Marcus found himself noticing things. The way her luminescence brightened when she was excited about a topic. How she tilted her head when considering a new idea. The graceful movements of her 4-fingered hands when she gestured to emphasize a point. He caught himself watching for her arrival, manufacturing excuses to be in places where they might accidentally meet Dot. It was foolish, he knew. She was a princess of an interstellar empire. He was a lieutenant from a species that had barely ventured beyond its own moon until a generation ago. The gulf between them was measured in light years and evolutionary paths that diverged billions of years ago. Yet when they talked, none of that seemed to matter. "I have been thinking about what you said yesterday," Lyra continued, her patterns shifting to contemplative violet, "about how humans form pair bonds based on emotional compatibility rather than genetic matching." "Marriage," Marcus supplied, "though it can be based on lots of things. Love, partnership, friendship, sometimes just practical arrangements. It varies. Love, Lyra repeated, as if tasting the word. Your language has so many words for variations of attachment. Love for family, love for friends, love for partners, love for ideals. In Valoran, we have one word for the deep connection between souls, regardless of the relationship type. Kasara. Kasara, Marcus tried, stumbling over the harmonic tones. Lyra's glow brightened with what he'd learned to recognize as pleasure at his attempt. Better, she encouraged. You are improving quickly. Soon you will not need the translator at all. I doubt that, Marcus said, smiling. But I like trying. Your language is beautiful. As is yours, Lyra said softly. I have been studying the poetry you recommended. This Shakespeare you admire. His sonnets speak of love in ways that resonate even across our differences. Marcus's heart beat faster. Was she implying what he thought she was implying? He had been so careful to keep his growing feelings hidden, convinced they were impossible, inappropriate even. But now, standing in the soft glow of her presence, hope flickered dangerously bright. Shakespeare understood that love transcends circumstance, Marcus said carefully, that it can appear in unexpected places, between unexpected people. Yes, Lyra agreed. Her glow shifted, patterns swirling in ways Marcus had never seen before. Marcus, I must tell you something. In 3 days, I am required to return to my home world. The cultural exchange period is ending. The words hit him like a physical blow. He knew this day would come, had known from the beginning that this was temporary. But knowing and accepting were entirely different things. I see, he managed, his voice carefully neutral, despite the sudden tightness in his chest. My father, the Emperor, expects me to choose a consort upon my return, Lyra continued. It is tradition. The eldest heir must be bonded before ascending to greater responsibilities. Marcus turned fully to face the window, unable to look at her while imagining her with someone else. Some Valoran noble, no doubt. Someone appropriate and expected and completely. Wrong for her in ways he couldn't even properly articulate. I hope you find someone worthy of you, he said quietly. I believe I already have. Words hung in the air between them. Marcus's mind raced, trying to interpret meaning through the haze of his own desires. He was probably misunderstanding, projecting human emotions onto alien expressions. The problem, Lyra said, and Marcus could hear something like nervousness in her harmonics, is that he does not know how I feel. He is from a different world, a different species. There are complications, diplomatic considerations, biological incompatibilities. Many would say it is impossible. Marcus turned slowly to face her. Her luminescence had shifted to a color he'd never seen before, something between rose and gold, pulsing rapidly with what he instinctively knew was anxiety. Many would say that, Marcus said carefully. But you've never struck me as someone who lets others dictate what is possible. No, Lyra agreed, meeting his eyes. Valorans had eyes similar to humans, one of the strange convergences of evolution, though hers held depths that seemed to reflect infinity. I have spent my life preparing to lead, to make decisions that affect billions. Yet I find myself uncertain about this one choice that affects only me. What choice? Marcus asked, even though he was beginning to hope he knew. Whether to return home alone, or to ask a certain human if he might consider an impossible thing. Marcus's breath caught. Around them, the station hummed with the quiet machinery of diplomacy, but it all faded to nothing. There was only Lyra, glowing like a captured star, looking at him with an expression that transcended species and spoke directly to his soul. I don't know if it's even possible, Marcus said. Biologically, politically, practically. We're from different worlds, Lyra, literally. I know, she said. But I have fallen into Kasara with you, Marcus Webb. I have tried to resist it, to be logical and appropriate and dutiful. But when I imagine my future, you are in it. When I think of growing old, I see us still standing at windows like this, watching stars together and debating impossible things. I hope I could marry her, Marcus murmured, not quite meaning to say it aloud. The words escaped before his careful military discipline could catch them. A confession whispered to the stars beyond the glass. What was that? Lyra asked, stepping closer. Marcus turned fully to face her, decision crystallizing in his mind. If this was impossible, then let it be gloriously so. Humanity had achieved the impossible before. They had reached the stars, hadn't they? They had made friends of aliens their grandparents would have feared. What was one more impossibility? I said I hope I could marry her, Marcus repeated clearly, looking directly into Lyra's infinite eyes. You, Lyra, I was thinking about how much I've come to care for you, how impossible it all is, and wishing that somehow, despite everything, there might be a way. The glow beneath Lyra's skin erupted into brilliant radiance, so bright that Marcus had to blink. When his vision cleared, she was smiling in the way he'd learned, meant pure, unfiltered joy. My answer is yes, she said simply. Yes? Marcus repeated, hardly daring to believe. Yes, Lyra confirmed. To the question you did not quite ask. To the impossibility we might make possible. To the future we could build together, if you are willing to face the complications with me. There will be so many complications, Marcus warned, even as his own smile spread across his face. Then we will face them together, Lyra said. That is what partners do, is it not? What those who share Kasara do. She extended her hand, palm up, in the Valoran gesture of offering and acceptance. Marcus placed his hand against hers, human flesh against alien luminescence, and felt the warmth of her skin, so different, yet so fundamentally alive. We'll have to convince your father, Marcus said, and my superiors, and probably both our entire species. A small matter, Lyra said, her harmonics carrying amusement. I am quite persuasive when properly motivated. We don't even know if this can work long term, Marcus continued. We're literally built differently. Then we will work with scientists and doctors to find solutions, Lyra replied. Humanity and the Valoran Empire have solved greater challenges than the logistics of an unusual marriage. Marcus laughed, genuine and free. She was right. Here they stood, two beings from worlds that had evolved in isolation for billions of years, finding love in the space between stars. If that wasn't proof that anything was possible, what was? When do we start the impossible? He asked. Now, Lyra said, and pulled him closer. Their first kiss was awkward, a meeting of unfamiliar biology and nervous emotion. But it was also perfect in its imperfection. Outside the viewport, the twin suns continued their eternal dance, painting light across the cosmos. And in that crystalline bubble between worlds, a human and a Valoran princess began writing a new story, one that would echo across both their civilizations. It would not be easy. There would be opposition, challenges, moments of doubt. But they would face it all together. Two souls who found each other across the impossible distance between stars and chose to believe that love, in any language, in any form, was worth fighting for. The answer, after all, was yes.